Hello everyone. Today we will discuss the two events, fertilization and post-fertilization events. Last video we had discussed what happens before the fertilization. So we'll see today these two processes, how the fertilization occurs and how the development of the zygote will take place. So we know that the syngamy means that is the union of male as well as female gamete which will develop into an zygote, right? So here both male as well as female gametes are haploid which will give rise to diploid zygote, and this zygote is single celled. So we call this syngamy as fertilization. That means fertilization involves all the process that is required for syngamy. Okay. So in sexually reproducing organisms, meiosis and fertilization play a very important role, wherein the diploid myocytes or gamete mother cells will undergo meiotic division to release haploid gametes, and these haploid gametes will unite to form diploid zygote. But imagine if there was no meiotic division. So we'll take an example of an animal, say cat, which has total number of chromosomes in their cells as 38. So the number of pairs in each cell will be 19, right? So we'll imagine that there is no meiosis in this animal. So definitely it will undergo mitotic division to release the gametes. So the gametes also will have 38 number of chromosomes, and when this cell unites with the other gamete, what will happen? The total number of chromosomes will change to 76, which is completely different from that of parental one. So here we cannot say that the offsprings which are formed from this union is similar to that species, right? So therefore, meiosis and syngamy is very important in these organisms. Why? Because it maintains the chromosome number constant generation after generation, and also it will restore the diploid status when the union of male and female gamete will take place. So the number of chromosomes that are present in the zygote will be similar to that of parental one. Also, the fertilization will help in the continuity of life, and due to this sexual reproduction, generation after generation, these species will survive. Syngamy or fertilization varies from organism to organism. It may be on the basis of source of fusion of gametes. There are two types, endogamy and exogamy. In endogamy, the individual will have both types of reproductive organs, and these reproductive organs will release male as well as female gamete, and fusion will occur within this individual. Whereas in exogamy, it occurs in unisexual individuals. So two individuals are involved here, wherein the union of gametes will take place inside the female body. So we see here that there are two individuals that are required, male and female. On the basis of structure of gametes, how they look morphologically, there are three types of syngamy: isogamy, heterogamy and oogamy. Isogamy, wherein the fusion will take place between the similar gametes with respect to their morphology. Okay, so they are of same size. Whereas heterogamy is also called as anisogamy, wherein there will be the structures will be dissimilar. And oogamy occurs in those species which has female gamete very much larger in size. So we also call these structures as oogamous just because female gamete is very large. Okay, so here female gamete is called as oocyte, and the syngamy is called as oogamy. Even based on the habitat of an organism, there are different sites of syngamy. Means there will be different location where the fertilization will occur. The first one is external fertilization, which occurs in aquatic organisms or animals such as algae, fishes and amphibians. So here we see that the male gametes as well as female gametes are released outside in the aquatic region. So here the union of male as well as female gamete occurs outside the female body, right? So important to note here that both the individual male as well as female organisms, they will be releasing the gametes at same time. So there is synchronous between the organisms and also in the release of these gametes. Similarly, we see in the amphibians wherein large number of female gametes are released in the environment, and same time the sperms or the male gametes also will be released. So the synchrony between the sexes and the release of these gametes will enhance the syngamy. So there will be more chances of syngamy which will occur in the water. But what happens is many offsprings will be formed, but it won't reach to the adulthood because they are extremely vulnerable to the predators, and because of which the disadvantage is that the most of the species won't survive up to adulthood. That is the reason why lot many gametes are being released. Next is internal fertilization, wherein the union of male as well as female gamete will take place inside the female body. So it occurs in most of the terrestrial organisms such as fungi, wherein we see that there are homothelic as well as heterothelic species wherein the union will take place. Also we see in the plants that the female reproductive organ called as carpel have three parts, namely stigma, style and ovary. And in the ovary there are the ovules. Sometime in some ovary there will be only one ovule, and in some there will be many ovules that will be present. So it depends the number of ovules that are present in that particular ovary. So what happens? The pollen grains which will carry the male gamete, it will form a tube, it will enter inside into the ovary, and then it will enter into the ovule where the egg is located. Okay, this egg is stationary. So here the fertilization will take place. In higher animals too, such as reptiles, birds, mammals, also human beings are coming under kingdom Mammalia, wherein the gamete is present in the ovary which will be released in the fallopian tube, and there are particular site where the fertilization will take place. So this way we see that in terrestrial animals the fertilization will be within the female body. Now since here too the female gamete is stationary, therefore there are lot many male gametes are released. We know that male gametes are motile here. So to reach to their destination there are lot many male gametes that are released, because all the male gamete doesn't reach to the site or to the ova. But what if fertilization doesn't occur? So in some plants as well as animals we see that the female gamete will develop into an individual here. So such process we call it as parthenogenesis, which also means as virgin birth. It is said to be virgin because the female haploid gamete is involved in the development of an individual. So without fertilization it can give rise to an individual. We also call this development of an individual as monoparental, since only one parent is involved here. So during parthenogenesis, female gamete can produce only males, such as rotifers, those are the wheel animals, They are called because they have wheels like structures. Then in honeybees, wasp, in honeybees we see that diploid female, okay, the egg which has been formed from this female will undergo parthenogenesis and will give rise to haploid males. And also we see in other insects too. In birds, in turkey, we see such type of development of an individual. Also, the female gamete can give rise to female individual. For example, grasshoppers, rock lizard, and the smallest snake of India, that is Typhlina. In aphids, female egg can produce any type of individual. It may be male and females. Parthenogenesis also occurs in plants and it induces parthenocarpy. That is, these plants, individuals that are formed from parthenogenesis will produce seedless fruits. For example, banana, pineapple or grapes, which occur naturally in the nature. So it is the development of fruits without fertilization is said to be parthenocarpy. So here the fruit will resemble the normal produced fruit, but only thing they will be seedless. The natural parthenogenesis which is observed in the nature is now used in agricultural fields wherein they are induced. So it is called as induced parthenogenesis and it is been artificially done in the farm, wherein the physical as well as chemical treatments are been given. The difference between parthenogenesis and parthenocarpy is that here the individuals are formed, whereas in parthenocarpy seedless fruits are formed. Both are without fertilization. Okay, and in parthenogenesis the or individuals which are formed, they are generally weak, whereas here which occurs in plants, the fruits are very normal, only thing they don't have seeds. And parthenogenesis can occur both in animals as well as in plants, whereas parthenocarpy occurs only in plants. Up till now we had seen that is the haploid parthenogenesis, wherein haploid female gamete give rise to an individual. But in nature we also see diploid parthenogenesis. Now how it is being done? Here the plant which is diploid will undergo mitotic division and it will give rise to female gamete. So definitely since it is undergoing mitotic division, it will give diploid gamete, and this diploid gamete will then develop into an individual. Those are the plants which will produce the fruits with seeds. So up till now we were discussing the fruits that are produced through parthenogenesis were seedless, right? And those are called as parthenocarpic fruits. But here we see that fruits are developed and they have seeds too, that too without the fertilization, right? So this type of production of plants is said to be apomixis, which also called as without mixing. So that is what is apomixis. So here in apomixis they skip meiosis as well as fertilization. We can see here there is no meiotic division, neither there is any fertilization, but still it can produce fruits with the seeds. So here the seeds are developed from the ovules, that is the maternal tissue which is present in the ovule, that will develop into the seeds. Such diploid parthenogenesis is seen in dandelion species, also blackberries, hawkweed, and some poaceae family, that is grass family plants, we see this apomixis. But now this apomixis is again used in the agriculture. Why? Because the seeds that are formed, they are exactly similar to the parental one. So the hybrid seeds which are developed, these hybrid seeds are grown and made in such a way that they will produce through apomixis. So definitely these plants will release the seeds of its own kind, since there is no gamete as such which is been formed through meiosis. So the gamete here which was formed, it is from directly from the plant, right, by undergoing mitotic division. So therefore, since these plants resemble to their parental, so same genetic composition will be there, and that is been utilized in agricultural farms where farmers can use such seeds years after years. So here the difference that we get is parthenogenesis occurs in haploid female gamete, and here it is diploid female gamete. Again, there is no fertilization during haploid parthenogenesis or parthenocarpy, whereas here it skips both meiosis as well as fertilization. Next, in plants it will produce seedless fruits, whereas here the plants will produce fruits with seeds. Also, the parthenogenesis, the individual differ from that of parent just because female gamete, haploid female gamete is involved, whereas here the individuals are similar to the parent because they do not involve meiosis. Okay, it is directly diploid female gamete which has been formed, and it will develop into an individual. So the key points what we should remember here is parthenogenesis, apomixis, parthenocarpy, the difference between the three and the examples. Also we should know what do we mean by induced parthenogenesis and the difference between external and internal fertilization with examples. We should also know about the types of syngamy based on the species. So now we will move on to the third event, that is post-fertilization event. Okay, wherein we will be discussing about zygote, how it is formed, and also what do we mean by embryogenesis and how it is being carried out. We already know now what is zygote and how it is formed. So we know that zygote is diploid and it is single celled. The development of zygote depends on two factors. One is the environmental condition and the organism which will be exhibiting or following a kind of life cycle. So it depends on environment as well as the life cycle of different organisms. In some fungi and algae, wherein soon after the zygote formation, the zygote will be covered by thick wall and it will be resistant to desiccation. That means it will be resistant to dryness as well as the damage. So till that it will undergo period of rest, and during favorable condition this zygote will develop into an individual. In most of the fungal and algal species which are haploid in nature, here the development of zygote is little different from that of other organisms. These fungi and algae exhibit haplontic life cycle. Now, the meaning of this haplontic is that these species are multicellular, but they follow haploid life, and only during the formation of gamete they will undergo mitotic division and the zygote which will be formed here. So the zygote will be diploid which will undergo meiotic division. We should remember this. It undergo meiotic division, and then the spores which are formed will be haploid, and these spores will germinate into the individual. Whereas development of zygote in animals as well as in plants, it is similar, but animals follow diplontic life cycle and plants follow haplodiplontic life cycle. What is the meaning of diplontic? That the animals are multicellular and they follow diploid life. Okay, wherein only during the meiotic division the cells, haploid cells are formed, and that will give rise to zygote. Whereas in plants they exhibit two phases in their life. Okay, one is haploid and another one is diploid. The haploid one is called as gametophytic phase and the diploid one is called as sporophytic phase. So since there are haploid phase as well as the diploid phase, it is also called as haplodiplontic. Okay, so both these phases are multicellular, but the development of zygote here will be similar in both animals as well as plants, wherein the diploid zygote will undergo mitotic division and that will develop into an individual. Next part of post-fertilization event is embryogenesis, that is the development of embryo from the diploid zygote. It's called as embryogenesis. The zygote will here undergo mitotic division, so it will be very much metabolically active and also it will undergo cell differentiation. Now what do we mean by cell differentiation? The mitotic division, when it takes place, the cell grows multicellular and it will develop into an embryo. Now inside the developing embryo, these cells will become more specialized to perform certain functions later on. So they will get modified and become more specialized, and that we call it as cell differentiation. So here what happens, these cells will undergo differentiation to form organs, tissues, organ system and the individual. So since the organs and organ systems are formed within the body of that individual, will start now performing all the physiological activities, right? In flowering plants, the zygote is formed inside the ovule. We already know that. And in the ovule, the development of the zygote will take place. So soon after the fertilization, the sepals or the petals will get wither off or they will get fall off, including the stamens too. Okay. But in some species such as brinjal or tomato, the sepals will still present or persist even after the fruit formation. Otherwise, most of the species, all the floral parts will get wither off except the carpel. Why? Because there the development of zygote is taking place inside the ovary. So zygote will develop into the embryo and the ovule will develop into seed later on, and the ovary which encloses these ovule, it will develop into a fruit, and the wall of ovary will now become a protective layer of the fruit that is called as pericarp. So in some fruits this pericarp will be fleshy, or in some there will be locule or hollow cavity that will be present, okay, between the seed and the pericarp. And in some seeds such as wheat, directly this pericarp will get attached to the seed coat. So the fruit which has only one seed indicates one ovule is present in that carpel, whereas there are different kinds of fruit with different arrangement of the seeds, indicates the arrangement of ovules in the ovary, right? So these seeds are dispersed at maturity and it will germinate under favorable condition to produce new plants. In animals, the zygote development will take place either outside the female body or within the female body. So based on such zygotic development, the animals are of two types, oviparous and viviparous animals. Oviparous animals lay their eggs which are already fertilized at the safe place in the external environment, whereas the viviparous animals give birth to young ones. These animals such as reptiles as well as birds, the fertilized eggs are covered by hard calcareous shell, that is the protective covering for the development of the zygote inside. So here these eggs are laid in the external environment at the safe place, as I said, and the young one will be hatched out after the incubation period is over. Whereas in viviparous animal, they perform pregnancy period wherein the zygote development will take place inside the female body. So that period we call it as gestation period, and after this gestation period the young ones will be delivered out of the female body. And since there is the proper embryonic care and the development takes place inside these females, there will be the fetus will be protected, okay, and because of which the chances of survival of the young ones are more in viviparous animals, whereas in oviparous animals the chances of survival of young ones is lesser. Why? Because they will be vulnerable to the predators in the external environment. So that is about oviparous and viviparous animal. So we have got the difference between the oviparous as well as viviparous animals. So the key points what we have to remember here is about the types of life cycle and the zygote development which takes place in various organisms, and also the difference between the oviparous and viviparous animal. Then we should also remember that the ovule and ovary forms to what after the fertilization, and which are the fruits which will persist sepals. Okay, so these are few key points which we should remember. So this was all about the first chapter, reproduction in organism. I hope you all must have understood this chapter along with the key points which have been discussed for NEET. Thank you very much.